Let's now talk about items with multiple UPCs or ALU information. Now, some inventory items may have more than one UPC or ALU, and that's probably because you have different suppliers or multiple suppliers supplying the same exact item. Take, for example, these shoes here, these Christian Dior pumps. So maybe I have a primary supplier, right, that supplies me these pumps, but I also have a secondary supplier, a third-party supplier, who can also get me these pumps if I need it. So because I have two different suppliers, I have two different UPCs. Not always, but it can happen. The bottom line, though, is that either of these UPCs can be used for item lookup purposes. So I can scan either this UPC or this UPC on a receipt, as an example, and the same item would be listed on the document. Now, on the document itself, you're going to find several pieces of information. On the document, you're going to find the listing, UPC, and vendor code. This is the UPC scanned on the document. Okay, and you'll also see on the document the primary UPC and vendor code. Now this is linked to the item definition. Okay, so let's say that this item here is my primary, this UPC here, and this UPC here is my secondary. So this is my third party. So this is my primary vendor would provide me this item. Here, my third party supplier would provide me this item. So if I sell on a receipt this item here, Retail Pro will record this UPC as my listing UPC, my scanned UPC, as well as this UPC as my primary UPC. The reason why this is important is because if your customer came back the next day and said, hey, I want to return this item, it's broken, it's scratched, who would you send that item back to? Would you send it back to your primary supplier or your third-party supplier? Well, based on the receipt, you notice that the listing UPC is this one, so you would return it to your third-party supplier. Now, if on that receipt you sold this item here, well then the listed UPC and vendor code and the primary UPC and vendor code would be the same. So you would know that, okay, I sold this item which was provided by this supplier. So these two pieces of data are actually very important. So they're key for vendor returns. They're also useful for purchasing as well. Because if you run out of this item, maybe you want to order more from the third party. So again, for items with multiple UPCs or ALUs, you can use any of that information, once it's stored in Retail Pro, to look up the item.